Hey guys, welcome to another episode of IGCSE Biology Revision. Today we're going to be covering section 7.2 of the syllabus, the alimentary canal. Now, the first part of the syllabus in this section wants you to understand some of the definitions, such as for ingestion, mechanical and chemical digestion, absorption, assimilation, etc. So maybe perhaps pause the video for a second, just take a look at them and write it down if you want, but essentially you'd want to memorize them because they do ask you a lot about, these simple definitions, and they're really easy marks. So nothing really to explain here, just for you to kind of understand and memorize what they want you to memorize. In this video though, we're going to be covering mainly the regions of the alimentary canal and their functions, and also how the cholera bacterium works to cause, diarrhea in the human body. So we'll get right onto it. So first of all, here's the alimentary canal here, otherwise known as the digestive system, and what you need to be able to do is kind of identify where each of these regions are in a diagram, and also state their functions. Okay, so first of all, we have the mouth, which is pretty self-explanatory really. This is where ingestion of food happens, and you have mechanical digestion, where food is kind of grinded up using our teeth. But it also has chemical digestion, where our salivas contain something called amylase. And we've covered this before in another video, but amylase is an enzyme which digests starch. Okay, so the next part of the digestive system is the esophagus. And esophagus passes boluses of food, by peristalsis, from the mouth to the stomach. Now, if you're wondering what peristalsis means, it is a muscular contraction within the esophagus, and so what happens is it pushes the food from the mouth down to the stomach by contracting behind the food, or behind the bolus of food, and relaxing in front of it. So essentially, the food will kind of make its way down because it's contracting above it and relaxing below it, and that causes the food to kind of squeezes the food down. So that is why food can still make its way to the stomach even if you're tied upside down. Okay, if you eat upside down, I know it would probably be hard, but the food will still end up in your stomach due to this thing called peristalsis, which is a very useful thing. So the food will make its way down to the stomach, where muscular walls of the stomach kind of squeeze on the food to try and liquefy it. And we've got something called gastric juices in the stomach, which contain enzymes called proteases, which is, we've talked about it before, it digests proteins. Not only that, the stomach contains something called hydrochloric acid, and we all know that that is a very acidic acid, pH of around 1 to 2, and that is to maintain the acidic optimum pH of these proteases. Okay, so we talked about optimum pH before, and the proteases in the stomach has a very, very low optimum pH. So hydrochloric acid is needed to kind of maintain that environment. And another useful thing about hydrochloric acid is it kills bacteria in our food that we've just kind of ingested. And then we have something called the pancreas. Okay, and pancreas is very important because it secretes something called the pancreatic juice into the duodenum. And the pancreatic juice is a liquid that contains proteases, which digest proteins, lipases, which digests lipids, and amylases, which digests starch. It also contains sodium hydrogen carbonate because the enzymes within the pancreatic juice don't really have the optimum pH of very low pH like the enzymes in the stomach does. And we all know that the stomach contains hydrochloric acid, making the solution very, very acidic. So when it goes down to the duodenum, we don't really want it to be that acidic anymore because the enzymes within that region don't really like that kind of acidity. So the juice within the pancreas that gets secreted into the duodenum kind of neutralizes that acidity using sodium hydrogen carbonate, making it really nice and neutral for the enzymes to work within that region. And of course, we get down to the duodenum, which is the very first part of the small intestine. and it receives the pancreatic juice from the pancreas, as we've talked about before, and it can chemically digest food. The second part of the small intestine is called the ileum, and they have enzymes in the epithelial lining of the walls of the small intestine, and it aims to break down maltose and peptides. They also have something called villi, which we'll look at in a later section, allowing a bigger surface area for the absorption of the digested molecules. We have the liver way up here, which makes bile, and bile is stored in the gallbladder, this green thing that I haven't exactly labeled here. And bile is useful as it emulsifies fats to form droplets, and when you form droplets, that has a higher surface area, making it easier to be digested by lipases in the small intestine. We have the colon, which is part of the large intestine now, and I haven't exactly labeled the first part of the small intestine because the large intestine, because you don't need to know that. But the colon is the second part of the large intestine, and it's mainly for the reabsorption of water from the undigested food, and also the absorption of bile salts, which can be passed all the way back to the liver to be reused. And we have the rectum here, where storages of feces are until it's digested, and of course we have the anus, where they have contractile muscles which control the digestion of those feces that are stored in the rectum. And lastly, I have this really simple diagram of the cells of the alimentary canal. So if you consider this the small intestine, and this the cells of the walls of the small intestine, what the Colobacterium does is they release something called they release toxins which cause chloride ions to move from the cells within the small intestine all the way into the small intestine itself. Now that reduces the water potential within the alimentary canal, and water, as you may already know, diffuses out or moves out through osmosis. And because there is an excessive amount of water now in the small intestine, that causes diarrhea. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.